I think everyone listening to this or watching this, you just drank from the fire hose in a way, because we touched on what? We touched on wholesaling, fix and flipping, private money, taking properties subject to, buying them with seller financing and then selling them with seller financing in like what, 15 minutes right now. So hey there, and welcome to another episode of the Jack Bosch Show, where we talk about all things real estate, finance, and wealth creation. Today, it's my honor to have the OG of real estate with me, one of the OGs, and actually the first person I learned from, and that is Mr. Ron LeGrand, my hero, and also I may call you one of my mentors, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all.
All right, wonderful. Well, you have basically influenced half of the real estate industry today. Probably, and some people that are learning real estate today don't even know that you have influenced them, because they learned from the people that you taught, that then taught somebody else, and they're teaching them right now. Because you have been around since when? Since the 1980s or so?
42 years, Jack.
42 years. Holy cows!
Still going, still buying.
So there we go. So tell me, what are you doing in the real estate market right now? What do you see working? What are you looking at? Because you have done everything. So you basically, I mean it in the best positive way of the word. You and we all are opportunistic in a way that when the market is down in some areas, we'll jump in. If the market is up in some areas, we become sellers. So what are you doing right now in the market?
Well, in single family houses, it doesn't make any difference whether the market is up and down. You just got to adjust with it. I've been through 6 cycles, 2008 being the worst, of course. And I learned that it makes no difference what the market is like or where you live. In fact, everybody has to have a place to live. There's always going to be people selling houses, and there will always be people buying them. When I started in 1982, Jack, the prime rate was 16.8%, and folks think they have it bad now. Trust me, it can get a lot worse. Okay, that was not a good time to be selling houses for retail, for cash, rehabs, and so forth. I mean, the realtors were dropping like flies, but it was a good time to wholesale, and that's how I got started. I still wholesale today, but I have rehab and retail. Got 3 of those out there right now listed, and I do a lot of term deals as well. Meaning I buy them in decent shape with terms, and I don't even have to go borrow private money. Of course, I don't borrow that private money. I haven't done that in a long time, but. My hope is for everybody that they learn how to make the money quickly, and ultimately they can use their own money if they want to pay cash for houses, because I can't think of a higher rate of return than using my own money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a house, I just did one. I bought one for 60 and sold it for 112 and didn't lay a hand on it. See, and that took 2 weeks. So that's kind of the rate of return us real estate investors ought to be getting.
That's right. That actually sounds like a land deal that we have that we do, like similar kind of margins there. Anywhere in the market, you of course are operating. Are you mostly operating local? You live in Jacksonville, right?
And I mostly operate local, but we are getting ready to branch out right now because I just haven't done it before. Frankly, I'm retired, Jack. I don't do much of anything, so I got a guy that's working with me that does all the work, and I just write the checks and I don't even write them. I got somebody that does that as well. Okay, but your land business is just like the house business. In fact, all the houses we buy used to be land.
That's right.
It's the same.
Yeah, that's why I always tell people, and they're like, I don't know nothing about land. I've never bought a piece of land. It's like, have you ever bought a house? It's like, yes. Then you have got a piece of land, because you're actually buying the land, and the house is only the improvement on the land, right?
That means you don't need a home inspector, huh?
That is right. If you buy land, you don't need that. Great. So you're wholesaling things, and so what would you tell somebody right now that is looking to get started in real estate and is a bit worried? I mean, you started when the interest rates were at 17%, but that is worried about like shaky economy, shaky kind of things. Which area of real estate should they start with? What should they be focused on? What should they be careful about when they get into real estate?
There's some big keys. Number one, I teach all of our clients, we do not guarantee debt. We do not online or go to a bank and fill out an application. In Ron's world, we don't even use applications because nobody's going to request one. And the last thing I want anybody to do is guarantee debt. The minute you guarantee that debt, you're a slave to that lender. And the more of that debt you guarantee, the less money you're actually going to lend. Because if you think you have to borrow money to make money in real estate, you probably should devote a little bit of that time and money to education, where you'll see that you do not need money to buy real estate, nor do you need credit. Next time you get ready to fill out an application, slap yourself and say WWRD. What would Ron do? No
Yeah.
guarantee debt. It's the biggest mistake people can make. And I see that, oh God, people on the internet are just advertising that all the time. That's how you make money. You go buy a house, fix it up, go refinance it, and go do another one. That's a good way to get bankrupt. That's what that is. And I can give you a big long list of folks that experience just that, because that's not the way to buy houses. The conventional method, put up down payment, go to bank. If you buy houses like that, you're probably not going to be around very long.
Right. So how do you buy a house in that case as a beginning investor?
All right, let's say it's a junker, and we're always buying junk. I just sent a realtor a message that to give them what they're asking on a property that I got out of the MLS on my daily feed, which everybody can get. You find the properties that need rehab, and if they don't need rehab, you're not in the junker business. Therefore, you can offer way below what the house will be worth after repaired. Just got to figure out what to offer, or you're going to go to some serious lessons. I can tell you that for sure. So we put it under contract, whether it be a FSBO or whether it be a real estate agent. We put it under contract, and then there's two ways out. Well, there's two, more than two, but most people will either assign the contract, which is what we do most of the time, or go ahead and close on it and then sell it. And that means they will need the money. So that money comes from private lenders, which we teach people how to get. And that's not loan sharks or people in the loan business. That's just human beings that want a higher rate of return on their money. And if you're wholesaling houses, that's a very fast turnaround. Very fast. In fact, just did 5 of them, and all 5 of them took less than 30 days to get in and get out.
Yeah.
And
so when you say you don't need money, you need sometimes if you do an assignment, you don't need money. If you actually buy the house, and then you do need somebody's money, but not your own money and not money that you personally guarantee for.
Private lender and no personal guarantees, and I don't want you borrowing more than 70% of the after repaired value, and that's got to cover your purchase price, all your repairs, your holding costs, and at least $5,000 more than that.
Right.
Because if you do it the way that I've been doing it for years and teaching it for years, you actually come home from closing with a check every time you buy one of those junkers. You got to get good at buying them, and you can't overpay, because there's a monstrous amount of pressure out there from all the greater fools who will pay too much in real estate.
So you're saying if you're buying a house for $60,000 in a tertiary market, and it's worth 120, say, then if you have to actually bring the money, you get from a private lender, you're getting something like $70,000 from them, which helps cover the $60,000 purchase cost, the closing costs, and $5,000-$6,000 for you.
Well, your numbers won't work. Okay. First of all, I'm not going to pay $60,000 for a house only worth 120 after repair. That's just not enough spread.
That's correct. Yes.
You've got the repairs in there somewhere, plus the holding cost. So, you ain't going to repair a house for $10,000. I can tell you that, not in this world. Usually, if I buy a house for 60, let's see, I just made an offer on one for 119, worth 230 repaired, and it's only going to take about 25 to 30 to repair.
Okay. Well, I'm the land guy. I don't know what these things work. That's the part I only wholesaled a few houses, but they came to me, to people that had land, and I also got that, and we got them dirt cheap, no pun intended. But yeah, so I'm just trying to see if a beginning investor listens to this and they're like, okay, so how do I do this? So you basically, though, bottom line is, though, you're borrowing from the private lender without any personal guarantee more than you need to close on the deal. So therefore, you actually have already a profit in your pocket when you come from the closing table. Then you market it, sell it to a fix and flipper in this case.
Rehabber. Somebody's going to rehab it.
Yeah, somebody's going to rehab it. So in today's market, if you're a beginning investor and you don't have a buyer's list, how do you go about selling that house?
Well, the first one you put under contract, you need to get out through Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and wherever you want. Trust me, you're going to get pounded with people wanting to buy your house. Then you're going to have to learn how to handle them, because most of them are a waste of your time. And then you build your buyer's list when you process those leads coming in with people you think are serious. And of course, the next time you go out, you offer it to your buyers list first, and it's probably long gone. You put it out to the public anymore.
Yeah, if it's a good deal, it sells. You only need a handful of good buyers that are repeat buyers, that are players in that market to sell a property. If it's well priced, it sells. It's the ones that you get offered to 15 other people at the same deal, that because they were priced wrong in the first place, they keep floating around the market for a while.
Well, I think the biggest mistake people make, Jack, is they just pay too much for the property.
That's right.
Your profit is in what you offer, not in the repairs. And by the way, you're going to have a hard time getting deals out of the MLS right now, because most of the deals come from FSBOs, because we're directly working with them. For example, we've done several probates lately. You know, parents are dead, the house is vacant, trashed, and literally junk inside of it. And you know, in that case, they're not trying to. Nobody knows it's for sale except them, and now us, until we give them some reason to contact us. And the MLS got everybody fighting over them, so you're not going to get any great deals out of the MLS. Yet I bought 3 houses through the MLS last year, but I'm telling you, I bought a lot of them that were a lot better deals than those. But it's free. Yeah.
Makes total sense. Now, Ron, in your estimation, in the last 42 years, how many deals have you? How many pieces of real estate have you touched on the buying selling side? How many?
I quit counting 10, 15 years ago at 3,000. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, so this is your passion for life, right?
Well, to me, it's not my main source of income anymore. To me, I got somebody out there doing all the work, because I just don't need it and don't want to do all the work. And
But it keeps you sharp.
I'm retired, and some people think I'm old, but I'm just seasoned, I'm not old.
Yeah, as I said, as I think was it Clint Eastwood said, he's 94 or something like that. How did you keep? And he's still producing movies and directing movies. And it's like, how do you do it? It's like, it's very simple. Don't let the old man in. That's right. And so obviously you could be Clint Eastwood's son here, but at the same time, it's kind of the same thing. Even Michelle and I remind ourselves sometimes, if you start getting tendencies of like, oh, I'm too old for this. No, don't let the old man in. Let's do some crazy stuff. Let's go out there. Let's have fun in life. And part of that is that you just never retire, because what else are you going to do if you retire, right?
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people don't know, you know, they think they want to get that retirement, and then they get out and they get into retirement. What the hell have I done here? Now what? That's one reason I got classic cars that I work on. We restore them here on my property. And then
all right,
go to house, but I still work at Global Publishing. I mean, what we're doing right now, I'm still training. Most of the rest of the stuff is done by the staff there.
Yeah. So what are you doing these days? What is like your main focus in the training? Is it the wholesaling? Is it fix and flip? Is it commercial?
No, it's training people how to be a transaction engineer on real estate, so they learn the ways to make money in it, so they don't walk over to dollars to get to the dimes. And yes, I do teach commercial. I have commercial, but my main stay is residential houses, and has been for all this time. So yeah. Basics haven't changed, but we have to stay current with the times, because laws change, sometimes techniques change, and with this technology and with AI, changing a lot.
Yeah. Well, Ron, with the history of your vast experience, what do you think, particularly as a wholesaler, what do you think is the way around, or is there a way around, and how would you go? How are you or planning to go around, or how you tell people to get around those more and more upcoming regulations around wholesaling in state after state after state that's coming up?
So first of all, the regulations aren't about wholesaling; they're about assigning contracts. Like Illinois, got to have a license in Illinois to assign more than 1 year. So what? That didn't stop me from buying it for a private lender and then selling it. And plus, that takes all the pressure off, and I can play the market a lot longer. Because, you know, if you sign a contract, you got to sell it before you're supposed to close on it. Then the seller deeds it to the buyer. That's certainly the best and the easiest way. But, you know, if I've got to close on it, I'm probably going to charge more. So it's all comes in the wash. But I don't want to give anybody the impression that we're dealing with people who are in the business of lending money. That's the opposite who we're borrowing from. I bet you everybody watching right now has got no private money in their Rolodex than they'll ever use. Period.
Yeah, that's true. Now, but going back to the thing, so do you think currently in the current market, concepts like a double closing, like a dry double closing, where you buy and sell both in the same day, is that considered legal? Because you're marketing the property without owning it, but then you're actually buying it and selling it. So it's kind of like, the regulators could say you're selling something that you don't own, which is part of what they're not liking. And at the same time, you're actually buying it and selling it, even though you're buying it only 5 minutes after you're selling it.
The first thing I've got to do is to make sure you understand exactly what the problem is, because most people just hear it and believe everything they hear. And I'll tell you right now, the whole world is full of crap. Illinois is the only state that I'm aware of that has clearly said you cannot assign contracts.
Okay.
Now, a lot of them say you must disclose that you have a contract and you don't own the house. So what? Nobody cares about that. Your buyers just assume you don't own the house.
That's right.
You just got to learn the law where you're at one time, and then you can comply with it. They ain't going to stop people from buying houses. I can tell you right now, they stop people from buying houses. We do not have a country anymore because it'll crash and burn in a hurry. Our whole economy will built around that real estate stuff.
That is.
I don't buy all just numbers. You know, my favorite part of the business is the terms business, where I buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods, and I buy them with owner financing, or I take over their debt subject to little or no money involved, and turn them into long-term income, multiple different income. I get a big old deposit when I put a tenant buyer in there, measured in the thousands, minimum of 5% of the sales price. I get monthly cash flow. I get debt pay down, which people tend to forget. You know, that's free. I get appreciation, and boy, has that made a lot of people rich in the last 2 or 3 years. And I get depreciation, so I pay the IRS less. And then most of the people who rent to own default on their deposit. They just don't do what they need to do to buy. I mean, go out and do it again. I keep all the deposit if they don't buy or if they move, clearly spelled out up front in front of an attorney. And most of them just don't buy. I mean, don't ask me why, because I quit asking why about 30 years ago. I don't care why anymore. They just don't buy. So I go out and do it again. So it's an ongoing stream of revenue, and it's the fastest way to get wealthy. And it's even better when you do it inside your IRA or tax-free entities, which I teach. And now you don't have to pay taxes on it, and you grow wealthy 10 times faster.
Yeah. Now, wow. So today is a short episode. We want you have limited time. You got to jump off to another meeting. But at the same time, I think everyone listening to this or watching this, you just drank from the fire hose in a way, because we touched on what? We touched on wholesaling. We touched on fix and flipping. We touched on private money. We touched on taking properties subject to. We touched on taking properties and turning them, buying them with seller financing and then selling them with seller financing. We touched on doing lease purchase agreements or lease option agreements, not lease purchase, lease option agreements. There's a difference, and all of this in one way, in like what, 15 minutes right now. So Ron, I know you, obviously we said it right at the beginning, you're the mentor of mentors. I remember when Michelle and I got started, we watched one of your infomercials, and we were just getting started back then in the tax delinquent world. And we had met somebody at a tax deed auction that had a piece of land. Actually, Michelle went out there and she met that lady, and she had a piece of land, and we wanted to get it under contract for a good discount. And then when she came back and we needed a contract, and we didn't know what the heck you had to get a contract for. Your infomercial came up. We ordered your program with cassette tapes. Part of it was a contract. We used that contract for our very first real estate deal and made $32,000 in that deal or so. And ever since been huge fans of you. And since then we've become friends. We see each other a few times a year. And so how do people get a hold of you? Because you obviously you've forgotten more about real estate than most people in their lifetime will learn about real estate. So how do people hear about you? How do we get the hold about you?
Before that, have you ever sent me a testimonial letter?
I did. I'm actually one of your books. You have one of your books, the Quick Turn Real Estate book. Yeah. I'm on page 49 or 50. Michelle and I are on there.
Well, I can't pick on you then. Okay. The answer to your question is that I've got a webinar right now on terms business that we are promoting. Teaches you step by step how to buy houses on terms without using your money or credit. And you do get all the benefits of owning them, not just a quick check. You know, the problem with wholesaling and rehabbing is that the government's going to get darn near half of it because it's short-term capital gains. Okay, we eliminate all of that when we're doing the terms business, especially if we learn to do it in tax-free entities. It's called the terms course. While you're watching it, you'll understand what the terms means. But frankly, if you buy it, you're buying it at a 60% off price. And I'm going to give you my wholesale course and my rehabbing course if you buy the terms course. That's a special that we're running right now. That's at ronlegrand.com/Bosch.
All right.
BASCH. Okay.
All right, ronlegrand.com. So that's RON, and then LeGrand is LEGRAND.com /Bosch. And Bosch, remember, it's my last name with BOSCH. There's a C in the between the S and the H. People forget that often. So make sure you go there. Great. So Ron, thank you for being on the show. Again, we were touching on so many different things, but I'm glad to have you back. I'm glad to you're well and thriving back out there. You're always a fountain of knowledge, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon at probably one of the masterminds that we're together part of.
My pleasure, Jack. You and I could spend hours on this thing too.
I know we can spend days on all taking every single piece of that and going into a deep dive on that. So, and I'm excited that I actually can hold up with you on knowledge, because hey, 22 years of that has taught me a few things too. But obviously, you're the grandmaster. So thank you for being on here, and have a great day, and thanks a lot.